Okay, everyone, let's start the workshop. So, okay, my name is Nishant. I'm the Secretary Corps, and this workshop will be taken by mostly two people, Subodh and Arsh. They're both second year, right? And yeah, if you have any doubts in between the session, you can type in the chat, uh, or we'll also have like a Q&A session at the end. So you can ask your doubts then, and if you have very small doubts you can type in the chat as well. Okay, so both you can start.
Audible? Am I audible?
Yeah.
So, like, this is a very like beginner workshop just to get you an introduction to like what is web development और क्या-क्या चीज़ें बेसिक्स हैं. तो starting on topics covered, मतलब why learn web dev? Obviously, like क्यों तुम्हें web dev पढ़ना चाहिए और normal front end क्या, back end क्या, the basic difference between front and back end. और फिर जो बहुत ही बेसिक चीज़ें होती हैं वेब डेवलपमेंट के पिलर्स बोल सकते हैं अपन, HTML CSS जावास्क्रिप्ट, उनका थोड़ा सा इंट्रो एंड बाकी रेफरेंस लिंक्स एंड नॉर्मल HTTP वगैरह का इंट्रोडक्शन. फिर तो वाई वेब डेव मेनली इसलिए कि इंटर्नशिप्स अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ वेब डेवलपमेंट की फील्ड में लाइक सबसे ज़्यादा हैं. लाइक बहुत इजीली अगर तुम्हें थोड़ा भी वेब डेवलपमेंट आता है तो यू कैन इजीली ग्रैब एन इंटर्नशिप इवन इन फर्स्ट ईयर, नो बिग डील. एंड जीसॉक अगर जैसे ओरिएंटेशन अटेंड किया हो तुम लोगों ने कॉप्स का, तो और कॉप्स की वर्कशॉप भी हुई थी, तो यू वुड नो कि जीसॉक इज गूगल समर ऑफ कोड. गूगल ऑर्गेनाइज करवाता है हर साल ओपन सोर्स को बढ़ावा देने के लिए, तो दैट इज़ अ वेरी ग्रेट थिंग. उसके बाद स्टार्टअप्स एंड ऑल में काम करने की अपॉर्चुनिटी, लाइक कोई भी स्टार्टअप होता है तो उन लोगों को क्या है कि कोई भी बेसिक स्टार्टअप है उनको एक अपना वेब एप्लीकेशन चाहिए, कोई मोबाइल एप्लीकेशन चाहिए. तो दे फाइंड पीपल एंथुजियास्ट जिन लोगों को थोड़ा बहुत वेब डेवलपमेंट आता हो और वो भी सीखना चाहते हैं, तो यू कैन कोलैबोरेट विद दो स्टार्टअप्स एंड वर्क ऑन समथिंग. उसके बाद हैकाथॉन्स. हैकाथॉन्स भी जैसे तुम लोगों को पता ही होगा कि दे आर लाइक 1 और 2 days के कंपटीशन जिसमें रात भर जाग के यू क्रिएट समथिंग न्यू. मतलब कुछ भी कोई भी आइडिया पे काम करके तुम बस एक रात में कुछ भी प्रोडक्ट बना दोगे एंड अकॉर्डिंगली उसके हिसाब से तुम जज होगे, तो इट्स लाइक अ कंपटीशन. और फिर ओपन सोर्स इज, यू वुड बी नोइंग, जिसॉक की वर्कशॉप अटेंड करी होगी तो लाइक बहुत सारी ओपन सोर्स प्रोजेक्ट होते हैं जिसमें कोई भी आके अपना कोलैबोरेशन, मतलब कोई भी आके कुछ भी पार्ट लेना है, तुम्हें कोई चेंज करना है या कुछ भी करना है, यू कैन डू दैट. यू कैन कोलैबोरेट विद अदर पीपल एंड ऑन अदर प्रोजेक्ट्स. तो उसके बाद बेसिक डिफरेंस बिटवीन फ्रंट एंड एंड बैक एंड, तो लाइक दिख ही रहा होगा तुम्हें. बेसिकली यही है कि जैसे तुम किसी वेबसाइट पे गए, सपोज तुम कोई टेस्ट एप्लीकेशन है, तो जो तुम देख रहे हो वहाँ पे वेबसाइट में जो चीज़ें तुम्हें दिख रही हैं, कोई भी बटन्स दिख रही हैं या फिर कुछ भी दिख रहा है, इमेजेस एंड ऑल एनिमेशंस, वो सारा पार्ट आता है फ्रंट एंड में. एंड बैक एंड में वो चीज़ें आती हैं जो लॉजिक वाला पार्ट है. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल टेस्ट वाला एप्लीकेशन है, तुमने टेस्ट दिया, सारे ऑप्शन, जैसे 100 क्वेश्चन थे, तुमने सबके ऑप्शन सेलेक्ट कर लिए एंड फिर जैसे ही तुमने टेस्ट सबमिट किया, तो जो तुम्हारा टेस्ट का इवेल्युएशन वाला पार्ट है, रिजल्ट जनरेट करने वाला पार्ट, रैंक्स जनरेट करने वाला पार्ट, ये सब होता है बैकएंड में. ये सब क्योंकि तुम्हें दिख नहीं रहा, तुम्हें थोड़ी ना दिख रहा है कि रैंक जनरेट हो रही है, कैसे हो रही है, क्या फॉर्मूलाज यूज हो रहे हैं या वॉट एवर थिंग इज हैपनिंग, एवरेज निकालना, हाईएस्ट निकालना. तो ये सारा जो पार्ट है ये हो रहा है बैकएंड में. तो ये की डिफरेंस होता है कि फ्रंट एंड इज व्हाट द यूजर सीज एंड बैक एंड इज व्हाट, जो लॉजिक वाला पार्ट है, व्हाट द यूजर डज नॉट सी व्हाट हैपेंस इन द बैक एंड. बैक एंड का पार्ट होता है लॉजिक्स का, प्रोसेसिंग का. सेम यही लिखा है कि द कोड विच यू डू नॉट सी, जो कि सर्वर पे रन होती है स्क्रिप्ट्स, दैट इज बैक एंड. और जो तुम देख रहे हो, जो तुम्हें दिख रहा है, यूजर इंटरफेस है, यूजर एक्सपीरियंस वाला पार्ट है, दैट इज फ्रंट एंड. सो बेसिक्स ऑफ फ्रंट एंड, बहुत ही तुमने सुना ही होगा नाम अब तक तो, कि HTML CSS एंड जावास्क्रिप्ट. तो की डिफरेंस यही होता है कि HTML इज जस्ट अ स्ट्रक्चर लेयर. ये जो पार्ट है जैसे स्केलेटन, HTML इज जस्ट हेड बना दिया, बॉडी, बेसिक फ्रेम बना दिया वेबसाइट का, कुछ भी बस नॉर्मल सा फ्रेम है, तो दैट इज HTML। फिर तुमने उसमें कलर्स डाले, बैकग्राउंड्स डाले, इमेजेस या वॉट एवर अपीरियंस वाला जो भी पार्ट है, स्टाइलिंग कर रहे हो तुम, उसका यूजर मतलब क्या बोलते हैं UI सुधार रहे हो, दिखने में अच्छा बना रहे हो, तो दैट कम्स विद CSS। तो बेसिक फ्रेम विद HTML और फिर स्टाइलिंग वाला पार्ट है CSS। और फिर अगर तुम्हें
Subodh,
कुछ, हाँ भैया।
there are some people who cannot understand Hindi. So can you repeat very the important points in English?
ओके ओके, सो what I'm saying is कि HTML is the part, the structural part, the basic structure of a website is HTML, and when you put colors, background images, any मतलब styling, the styling part, the appearance of the website comes with CSS, and when you put functionality, like things are moving around and the animations and stuff, that comes with JavaScript. So that is the key difference. And just one more fact, like JavaScript is a programming language, HTML CSS are not programming languages. So that is the difference between HTML CSS and JavaScript. So prerequisites of web development or learning these languages is like you need a code editor, VS Code, Sublime, or anything, like just a basic code editor, a web browser, obviously, because you are doing web development, so you would be needing a web browser, and thoda sa enthusiasm, like you need a little bit like self motivation, because eventually you have to learn things, and जो भी है ले दे के तुम्हें ही करना है, तो you have to be ready for that self learning. So now Arsh will continue on HTML, basics of HTML and CSS.
Hi everyone, am I audible? एक बार कोई confirm
Yeah,
कर
yeah, audible.
दो. Cool. So like Subodh said that the three fundamental things which you are going to learn are HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So they're usually learned in this order only because that'll make it easier for you to understand. So repeating what Subodh said, that HTML is the basic bare bones structure of a web page. This is a very basic, like the code which you see on the left side, that is a very basic code which like you will write. So I'll like briefly introduce what HTML is. Like as you can read, it stands for hypertext markup language. And so this is where you will like define the structure. So in the web page, like there must be a paragraph, right? There must be an image, so you'll just specify all this stuff, that here there's a paragraph by using tags, like what all you're seeing inside the brackets, HTML, head, title, body, all of these are tags. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to just specify that here there's a paragraph, here there's an image, and all that sort of thing. And then later on you're going to style it using CSS, to which we'll come. So this is where you should start learning web dev, and like one of the best resources for that is the link which is here in this slide. You don't need to like note it down or something because we'll be sharing the slides with you. But like so you can go to W3 schools and they have a proper, if you see the website, there'll be a proper structured way of learning this, and it is one of the best resources to begin with. So this was it for HTML. Like, let me tell you a bit about CSS now. Subodh slide. Yeah. So like I told you that you will be using tags, something called tags in HTML for paragraphs, images, and headings. Like the H1 you see here is you in CSS is used to refer to the tag in HTML, right? So you tell there's a paragraph and then you select it using CSS, like H1 is the selector, and then you can specify stuff like you want, what do you want the font size to be, what do you want the font color to be, how much spaces do you want between each letter or two paragraphs, or between the end of the web page and the paragraph, all this sort of stuff. So like Subodh said, like basically the looks, the style, all that comes under CSS, and you specify it like this. Again, for CSS also, one of the best resources is W3 schools, and you can go to this link and start reading about it. One thing which students do when they like start with CSS is that they CSS is very vast, okay? Like it is so deep that you can continue doing CSS for months and there would still be stuff which you don't know about. So what I would suggest is you just learn the basics so that you have an idea, use it few times, and then you can move on. There's no need to just ki sari css hi kar deni hai. There's no need to do something like that. Okay. And after css, we come to javascript. So what, next slide. Yeah. So like Subodh said, the javascript is the logical part in your code. Like till now, whatever you designed was just this was like reading like a blog, right? Just you can read the data this which is there, you can see the images, but you can't interact with it, right? All the logic for buttons, forms, all the complex stuff like creating users, liking on Facebook, Instagram, everything, all the functionality which you see in a web page will come from JavaScript. So that is why, like it has been written here, that it is the logic in web apps. Another important thing is that JavaScript is not to be confused with Java at all. Like these are two very different things and two completely different languages. So we are talking about JavaScript here and not Java. And there's nothing like कि मतलब एक सीख ली तो दूसरी आसान types. They are very different. Okay, just don't confuse between them. So after you learn JavaScript, you will be able to create a basic functioning web application. But like Subodh said, that you will be using web development to do interns and work in startup and all that stuff. But when you go there, most of the times they will not be writing simply JavaScript, because writing simple JavaScript is time consuming, and it takes a lot of time and effort to maintain that code also. That is why people like use frameworks which are built on top of JavaScript. Now don't get confused by the word framework. Framework is basically like stuff. How to explain a framework? Best way I think to explain a framework would be that it'll provide you tools which will make your life easy. Okay. So React.js is one of the most famous frameworks for front end when using JavaScript. And again, like JavaScript is not to be confused with Java, it is also not to be confused with JSON. JSON is something you will use to represent your data, and that is a term which you'll encounter later. So I think we can skip on that for now. Subodh, you can I think continue about HTTP from here.
Okay, so basically when you interact with websites या कोई भी web page पे गए and whatever you do, कोई भी website खोली, you open Facebook, you open anything, so your web browser communicates with the web server. So there is a specific protocol that web browser uses to communicate with the server, that is called HTTP. And you would have also seen in the URL panel of your web browser ऐसे लिखा रहता है http://www.anything.com. So HTTP is nothing, just a protocol, a set of rules which defines how data would be sent and received, and how the web browser and server will communicate. So it's hypertext transfer protocol. And if you have noticed, HTML is hypertext markup language. So basically HTTP is transferring nothing but HTML and hypertext. So as it is written, it was designed for communication between web browsers and servers. So as you can see, this is the protocol. Now HTTPS is nothing, it is basic HTTP with secure, like the data transferring between the web browser and the server, it is now encrypted. So as depicted in this photo, like when you enter any password on any website, any HTTP website, so the password would be clearly visible to any hacker or anyone who is like spying on your data. But when you use HTTPS, the hacker would see the encrypted data, so your password would be secure. And the default ports are 80 and 443 for HTTPS. Like I could have given you the demo, but it's okay, like you will get to this stuff when you start web development. And APIs, so APIs are nothing, it's just you can say, as it is written, application programming interface. I don't know how to explain APIs, but it is something you will encounter when you do web development. It is nothing but predefined things, like predefined what you say, like matlab, your application, the data, the communication between the web server and you would be with application. Like I could have given you an example, but like it's okay, you can skip APIs for now. Basically HTML CSS se you can start. You'll get to know what APIs are. You'll create your own APIs, and you can search on the internet also APIs kya hoti hain, but it would be very hard to explain you right now कि APIs kya hoti hain. So I think that was all for this session. Basic keyways are like you can develop your own website and applications with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You can collaborate in other startups and also with your friends. Uh, you can take online courses also for HTML, CSS, but you should keep an habit of reading stuff, online documentations and all, because that would be very helpful. And also you should know how to Google stuff. Like if you encounter any error on anything, so you should be independent and try googling the errors and see if anyone has ever encountered that error. So like as I said, you should be self motivated to learn, and there are some resources through which you can learn. So the first one is codecademy.com. Like if you are a beginner and know nothing about HTML and CSS, so Codecademy is a great way to start. Like their user interface is quite nice. And W3 Schools, as previously mentioned, it has great content, vast content also, and it is a very good source for reference. Um,
So this was an overview of like the entire things you will be learning. So like when you will start learning, you after you have done a few of these basics, you are going to have to choose between two things, that is the front end and the back end. Okay, so for both of these you are going to have a large amount of choices. Okay, I was seeing in the chat a lot of people were asking that uh, Python can be used in backend and all. So the thing is that like once you, I think everyone, if you want to go into web development, doing HTML, CSS, and JS is a must. Okay, these are the absolute basics which you must do. After you do this, I think you should like ask yourself if you are enjoying, designing the front end part of the website or app. Like, do you enjoy uh, s- creating the look or the creating the interface which the actual user will interact with, or do you are you interested in the data side of it, handling how the like all the like passwords and all that gets saved, handling all that, creating responses from like APIs which the board talked about. Like once you do that, you'll have an idea about APIs and you'll know which side you're interested in, and based on that you can choose if you want to continue learning front end and back end. Like ideally, like within a year or two you will be be acquainted with both if you continue, and that is when you will be able to call yourself a full stack developer, which is like someone who just knows like both front end and back end part of the side. And so this was it for like majorly front end, where you will learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then some frameworks like React. For the backend, there comes a lot of choices. You can use JavaScript along with some frameworks like Express.js or Fastify or anything. Or in the backend, you have options of switching to other languages. Like you can learn Python and use Python in backend with frameworks like Django and Flask, which is what we use in a lot of COPS projects which you'll see out there. So this was it for front end and back end.
अच्छा also I can मैं दिखा देता हूँ एक बार. Let me show you कि for Codecademy where you have to actually go, because Codecademy like it has a variety of courses. So you just have to take the basic HTML, CSS. But this is for the, like this is a very beginner course. So if you know nothing about HTML, CSS, then this course is for you. HTML, CSS. See this learn HTML and learn CSS. These are the very basic courses. Like this course starts from absolute. It's for absolute beginner, so you won't have any problem starting these courses. I'll share you the link of this search query. Uh,
It's
also,
all
let me have you.
like you can just like browse through the resources and show. Like we'll share them the slides after the session.
Right. So, so as you can see, Code Academy has a very like great interface. So this on the left side is the the theory part. So you read the theory, and on the right side you do stuffs. So like I think initially it would be theory and so there are the instructions, like add a body to your web application using the body element. So what you basically have to do is write a body tag here. I mean, yeah. So basically, what the point of us explaining is this: like you can do this course if you are an absolute beginner to web development. Uh, Same CSS course is also from absolute beginning. So this is one thing, Code Academy and W3 schools. I'll show you.
HTML वाला like रोड मैप खोल के दिखा दें वहाँ पे एक बार सब.
W3 schools में.
So yeah, here if you like click on tutorials in the navigation bar, there you can like there'll be a tutorial for HTML.
HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You'll just get anything, like everything related to web development would be here at W3 schools.
So do you see on the left like this is where you see HTML tutorial? Below that you will see all the basic things, tags, tables, images, and all that sort of stuff. So you can read this, and if you have any doubts, you can ask in the Discord channel.
Same goes for CSS and JavaScript also. And it has lot of like in all the examples, you try it for yourself thing. So you can just
It
open
is
that.
interactive also. But try
Yeah.
it yourself. वाला दिखा दे. Like you can, if even if you don't want to use an editor, you can like see the effect of your
Hmm.
changes here only.
Like for the this is a paragraph tag, and the CSS for paragraph is font size 20 pixels. So what if I increase to 200 pixel and run it? So you can just live interact with the things, change stuff, and experiment on the code. So that is a great thing about W3 schools. So yeah, you can get like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You can see, like, you don't have to like remember each and everything you see here. You just have to read stuff, like
Yeah, this
just
is a very important thing which Subodh said that like whenever you start, you feel that ये भी याद करना है, ये भी याद करना है. That's not the case. You can always Google Google the what is the tag or what is the particular CSS property. So don't focus on remembering stuff. Just try to get experience with it. Like try to make things with it.
just have an experience कि हाँ I can change the background color also. I can change this also. Like you can Google anything. If anywhere you are stuck while doing something, you can Google it. And Stack Overflow, like as always, you would have heard. If you have any question, you just type it on Google, and the first link would be of Stack Overflow, obviously. So, and there are some tasks and resources from COPS. Let me just open it. This was 2019's winter task. So, after learning, the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can attempt this task. Uh, it's just for your learning. It's not for the selection process or anything. It's just for you to practice your skills. So basically what you have to do in this task is develop a tic-tac-toe. You guys
Yeah,
can.
like one important thing, you like it's applicable for programming everywhere. Like you can't just learn by reading resources. Like if you think that you'll just learn everything in the W3 schools and Code Academy, you'll take the courses and now you know developing. That's not right. Like you need to develop, like you need to make something to learn. programming actually. So that is why we have some we have compiled some tasks for you. They are like the tasks that which we prepared in the previous summer camps. So yeah, you should definitely attempt all these now. Like so, both can explain about all the tasks.
Yeah, so it's just, you need to have a basic understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So you just, open this link on the slide, open the website, and you'll get all the instructions and everything uh, to attempt the the task. And
You'll
like,
also find resources on also like
yeah, the
HTML,
resources.
CSS के resources भी वहीं पे ही हैं, so it's very easy.
So that
एक
is a great way to practice this game.
किसी की sample आप दिखा दे if it's present, तो
Um,
वो GitHub
sample.
वाले link पे होगी.
Wait, let me check. Mm,
Basically, he'll show you the apps which like we
yeah,
created when we
your
gave
senior
this.
created. Yeah, this is Yash Jain from second year. So he created this web application. So it's like if I want to play with computer, player's names both. I'll choose X. Play.
Yeah, all these applications are just designed with a front end. They have no back end. Like these can be made by
Yeah,
using only HTML, CSS, and
this is
JavaScript.
like
So
monster.
yeah, so when you learn the basics, this is the first thing we recommend you to make.
So yeah, you can like ऐसे देखने में लग रहा होगा कि like how can we make this is very hard and all stuff. ऐसा नहीं है. You just learn things, follow the tutorials and the materials given here, and it is quite easy to develop. You'll see after learning.
We have also
Also,
mentioned like tutorials where you will learn how to make tic-tac-toe itself, not just HTML, CSS and all that. So don't feel that you have to start it from कि कैसे कर लेंगे. Don't get scared right now. It's
hmm, and also we have CSOC 2020's resources, all the 5 weeks resources here. So it includes everything: Git, GitHub, Linux, and web applications. Week 2 was Django. Week 3 was REST framework. Week 4 was Flutter, Web VR, and augmented reality. So yeah, you can also refer to these resources. I mean, you would have your own CSOC this year, but still, if you want to refer to these resources, you can. We have included the links
but
here.
like these are very later. Okay, so don't get overwhelmed at all. Like just try learning
Hmm.
HTML, CSS, and JavaScript first. That should be your focus.
Yeah,
And
that is why like these are not like we will not assess you if you complete this task like earlier. So we want you to learn at your own pace, and yeah.
also, you can visit the COPS website on the resources dev panel. So you'll find like almost every resource of like of dev. So the dev tracks and workshops and the PPTs and all will include everything here. So you can check this page also. We have a lot of resources here. And yeah, so I think that was enough for this workshop. Anything more we are,
If you have any questions, you can now ask.
yeah, for questions you
Yeah,
can
yeah, okay, we can
ask.
like let me just turn off the recording so we can have an informal session now. Um,
Wait, I'll just